While Jonathan Kuminga has now become one of the most talked about names out in the trade market as the free agent, pool has started to dry up just a little bit. Where could the talented young forward find a new spot to prove himself? We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, Jonas Valanciunas just makes a decision that we really haven't seen very much in the NBA. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And there's been a lot of Jonathan Kuminga kind of news and rumors around here, and I think this really does speak to the place that we are at in free agency. I think over the last couple of years in free agency, we've seen it pretty frequently that once the first wave of free agents kind of dry up, then you have the second wave. And then after that is where you start seeing some of the restricted free agents start being dealt with. I think teams at this point realize that they want to take a shot at free agents that they can sign outright before having their money potentially locked up for a couple of days while a team decides if they're going to match an offer or not. And teams don't want to have a chance of missing out on another free agent, right? So I think now you're going to see that kind of pivot starts happening towards restricted free agents. Cam Thomas is another name that has not gotten a contract extension yet that I expected to get one a little bit sooner than that. But because of the uniqueness of Jonathan Kuminga and his situation with the Golden State Warriors, it makes a sign and trade likely. I won't say necessarily more likely. Well, no, I will say more likely because a lot of the free agent money has kind of dried up a little bit. So we've kind of now know what the Warriors are now looking at when it comes down to a potential sign and trade when it comes down for this. This comes from Brett Siegel, who says this. The Warriors are said to have a lot of interest in 2022 fourth overall pick Keegan Murray and would open up negotiation with the Kings should the 24-year-old be on the table. That doesn't seem like a path for the Kings at this moment, as they would obviously much rather see players like Malik Monk, Devin Carter, or newly acquired center Dario Saric walk out the door in a Kuminga deal. So it seems like right now the Warriors reportedly are looking for young players back and for draft compensation as well when it comes down to it, looking specifically for promising young talent. And this is kind of the smart move here. I initially thought, and I can admit when I'm wrong, that the Warriors are more so going to be looking at getting win-now pieces to fit around Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, of course, Steph Curry, in that 2-year window that they have here right now. And it seems like that they're open to doing that, but they also want that talent to be young. You can fit around them, but want it to be young. So it seems like right now the Kings, they're wanting to put forward players that it seems like the Warriors aren't necessarily as high on. They want to send Malik Monk, Devin Carter, Dario Saric in those type of moves, whereas the Warriors have their eyes more set on Keegan Murray, who could fit in with this team now, but also maybe be a part of a build going forward once those three players that they're doing stuff around right now are gone. Now, I don't know if the Warriors are going to be successful in that, right? I think teams kind of see the writing on the wall. Here's my thing. If you want a young, promising player with some upside, why not keep the young forward you already have in Jonathan Kuminga? Has that relationship already reached that? And we've heard so much through the short free agency period, so much up and downness on what this is. We heard that they could be looking to explore deals to keep him in Golden State. Now it's the sign and trade thing with the Kings, who reportedly own high on him, but they don't want to send Keegan Murray. That's what the Warriors are kind of more focused on, is getting Keegan Murray, who was a 4th overall pick, back for Jonathan Kuminga. And we'll see what happens with that, right? There's a lot of things, even reportedly as late as last night, is that the Warriors are now a team that's also interested in entering the Jonathan Kuminga sweepstakes as well when it comes down to that. And they look at it, what they have. They got Chris Middleton. They got C.J. McCollum. They got some players that they're paying that. And those type of signing trades, though, are going to be difficult because only half of Kuminga's base year compensation counts towards salary match. And for those that don't know what that is, that's that only half of whatever Kuminga's first-year salary is goes to matching a salary in a trade. So, for example, if the sign-and trade was for a $20 million player, only 10 and Kuminga signs for $20 million, only $10 million of his contract goes towards matching whatever salary that they get back. That may be why the Warriors are more so looking for players that are still on rookie scale deals, because I think it makes a little bit more sense there. But we'll see, right? Like Kuminga's starting to pop up on the radar more and more, and I think it makes a lot of sense when you look at where free agency is right now. You're at a place where if a team can add a player like Jonathan Kuminga in a sign and trade, that makes some sense. And he's going to be amongst the type of players that get that done when it comes down to it. And so Kuminga has some things and ways that he's proven himself. A former number 7th overall pick, right? He's had times of looking like a decent defender. He's had times of being a really good scorer and even efficient at some times when it comes down to it as well. And the Warriors aren't necessarily wrong for trying to make sure that they get something back that can play into their future. I honestly commend them for not looking at it just the now, right? Not saying, hey, just give us a veteran center back, which some people thought that that's what they could get back for Kuminga. But if they're looking for a player that still has some upside, that when this run with Jimmy and Dre and Steph are over, that they can start looking at, hey, they still got some talent on this roster. I'm not mad at them for doing that. That shows, again, a little bit of foresight from Mike Dunleavy, who was the general manager there, and getting it done. So, I think that a deal involving that, they're going to try to make it. We'll see what's going on with Malik Monk. Reportedly, the Detroit Pistons are sniffing around Malik Monk, which could then, I don't know if that takes them in or out of the Kuminga sweepstakes for the Kings or whatever else. But it's going to be, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a project for whoever gets him. Not saying that he's been in the NBA. He kind of knows how to score in the NBA at certain levels and things like that. But I think overall, like, you're trying to get him in, have him play within your system, give him an opportunity to play a game that's kind of more natural to his fit in the way that he likes to play. And can the Kings offer that? They reportedly trying to move off DeMar DeRozan. They got a point guard in Dennis Schroeder who's solid enough. Zach LaVine's still there. They still got Domantas Sabonis there. So this is a team in the Kings that I think still has a lot of talent on their roster. How that talent comes together is going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to fit. And, reportedly, we heard a week ago, they can even pivot towards looking to trade Zach LaVine as his contract starts winding down and coming to an end. So I think the Kings right now are in a complete state of flux. And what that is going to mean for their roster. If Kuminga comes in there and makes some sense for them, great. The Washington Wizards, though, being a team that's also kind of interested in Jonathan Kuminga, is a wrinkle that I will admit I did not expect at all. But the Wizards have been slowly but surely kind of making their roster make more sense with the Jordan Poole trade, getting veterans that they could then try to flip at the trade deadline. I think the Washington Wizards hold a couple of veterans that, if they are healthy at the trade deadline, the teams could look to maybe add, but they've clearly now started to build towards around Bub Carrington, which I think is a really good spot for them to be in. They still got Coulibaly there as well. They got Sarr there also. So they got some talent on this roster in the Washington Wizards, and I like a lot of what they did this offseason. I like a lot of what they did as far as trying to make that make more sense. A backcourt of Bub Carrington and Trey Johnson could be a really good backcourt going forward. If you can add Jonathan Kuminga to that as a small forward with Sarr as your power forward, you could be on to something. So I'm not here to say that necessarily that they have found that, but the Washington Wizards are trying to clearly go younger now, trying to clear out some of their books, and they're willing to take on veterans to move off some longer-term contracts for shorter-term situations. And so we'll see what the Wizards have, but them being interested in Jonathan Kuminga is a very interesting wrinkle in this. Like I said, one that I did not expect, but we shall see what's going to happen in that one. But let's move on. The Los Angeles Lakers, we talked about a number of players that they could be targeting on yesterday's episode, right? We heard anything from Robert Williams could be a target for them to Cam Whitmore with the Houston Rockets, who I think as well, like Jonathan Kuminga, if the Rockets really do want to move Cam Whitmore, he could be somebody who really garners them something on the market if they want to, looking to kind of continue their restructure around Kevin Durant. But reportedly, the Lakers' interest in Andrew Wiggins is real. And, they could pursue a trade for Andrew Wiggins to try to bring in a player that could fit with the mold of the team that they are now. Now, I don't necessarily see that myself, what it is when it comes down to it. But, we've heard before that there were some things that the Lakers try to do coming into this. This one comes from Javon Buha, who is an insider there. He said this: I don't know if Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, Shake Milton, and a first get you Andrew Wiggins. I've shared what I've heard, which is that Miami has been asking for a first and Dalton Connect. I think they also want Rui Hachimura too, because they want to remain competitive. Now, we know the Miami Heat are a team that wants to remain competitive. Pat Riley is anti-rebuild every step of the way. He's not going to be somebody who wants to see his team go rebuild. That's just who Pat Riley has been. So him wanting Rui Hachimura back in a potential Andrew Wiggins trade or Dalton Connect in a first That makes a lot of sense for where the Miami Heat are. Now, are the Lakers willing to pay that price? Keep in mind, their draft capital is not a lot that they can trade. They may be looking to hold on to that, especially as they're reportedly looking to make their pivot more so in the summer of 2027, and we shall see there. Wiggins is not a player that I'd be willing to give up a whole lot for. No knock on Andrew Wiggins at all, but I think that that's the reality of where things sit. Why give up a bunch for Wiggins? Again, my personal opinion doesn't mean that it holds any weight, but we shall see how it's going to go out and shake out. We should see, but the Lakers are clearly a team that are looking to try to make a move between now and the start of the season. They are not done trying to reshape their roster yet. Now, they are being very focused on the length of the contracts that they bring back, but they aren't afraid to kind of shake some things up. I think even seeing DeAndre Ayton's contract for 2 years leaves them some wiggle room where they still have early bird rights, but still leaves them some wiggle room if they decide to make a complete pivot in the summer of 2027. So I think the Lakers' path now here is clear. I think their goal now here is clear, and that we'll see what that leaves LeBron James at when it's all said and done in it. But overall, we shall see. But I want to end this episode on one of the most unique situations that we've heard. Jonas Valanciunas got an offer from, I'm not even going to try to murder the team's name, but a team in Greece in the EuroLeague, and he was just traded to the Denver Nuggets. And reportedly, he's offered 3 years, $12 million over 3 years to go play in Greece, which gets him closer, of course, to his family and things like that. And that they're willing to buy out his contract with the Denver Nuggets for that to happen. Now, there was a outlet over in Greece that actually reported that the deal is done. Now, I have not seen any U.S. outlets report that yet, but it could just be that their news cycle has already started where ours has not. And so we'll see what happens when it comes down to that. But Jonas Valanciunas leaving the NBA while he still had a decent over $20 million left owed on his contract and still would have had a role as a backup to Nikola Jokic. Leaving to go play overseas is not typically something that you see happen. By the time stuff like that happens, teams or players aren't getting the best offers from teams in the U.S. or they're not already under contract. Jonas Valanciunas leaving the NBA to go to Greece, if that's what brings him peace, more power to it. And I think that that's something that nobody can really put a weight on. Of course, people are going to make a lot about the money and things like that, but it's more that goes into it than just the money. Sometimes it is about peace. Sometimes it is about being back at home. Sometimes, you just don't want to deal with the bullshit that's over here in the U.S., and I can't blame a player for that. But Jonas Valanciunas doing this at a time where he had a big role coming up and could have been a part of a Denver Nuggets team that really revamped their bench to add better role players around Jokic. I mean, we'll see how it ends up shaking out. But again, I commend him on what he decided to do. If that's what brings you peace, that's what brings you peace. And sometimes in talking about this, we can talk so much about the contracts and the X's and O's that we lose the human element. And if this gets him closer to his family and that's what brings him peace, more power to him. Let him do it. But that's what I wanted to end the show on. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. Sorry, wrong podcast. You can follow us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything basketball related. And I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. It may not be today because it is 4th of July unless there's big news. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.